Hello everyone. We are taking a look at legality of objects and consideration, and with respect to that, we are taking a look at void agreements in this video. There are certain agreements under the Indian Contract Act which are expressly declared to be void, and I, Dr. Mariam Narona, will be taking you through this short presentation on this topic. So this video takes a look at the meaning of void agreement and the agreements which are expressly declared to be void, and this is as per chapter 1 Law of Contracts of the TY BCom 2013 syllabus of Savitribai Phule Pune University. Now, we have discussed what we mean by void agreements earlier when we did classification of contracts, but just to recap a little bit, a void agreement is one which is not enforceable by law. So, a void agreement is one which will not lead to any legal consequences because it is void from the beginning itself. It cannot be enforced because the law is such that that particular agreement cannot be enforced. It is something like a minor's agreement is void. It is void ab initio. That means it is void from the beginning itself. So a minor can be a beneficiary under a contract, but he cannot be held liable for anything under a contract. So minor's agreement is an example of a void agreement. Now, there are certain agreements expressly declared to be void, and you may find that there's a bit of an overlap between agreements that we discussed as agreements opposed to public policy, and now we will be discussing under agreements declared to be void. So, an agreement and restraint of the marriage of two consenting adults is declared to be void because they are adults, and they, by virtue of the fact that they have attained the age of majority, they have the freedom to decide who they should marry. So any agreement and restraint of the marriage of two consenting adults is declared to be void as per section 26. An agreement and restraint of trade, any lawful legal trade which is to be carried out by someone, that is declared to be void as per section 27. Now a little bit of a clarification under this is like, when there's a partnership agreement, so a partner, by virtue of the partnership deed or agreement which he executes with his partner or with his partners, if there are many partners involved, he may agree not to engage in, or he may be asked not to engage in a trade which is similar to the line of business of this particular partnership firm, and that is perfectly fine. There you're restraining him from trading, but because it would create unnecessary competition or go against the interests of the firm, it is perfectly valid. An agreement and restraint of trade of any other person, like if he's doing a lawful trade, like he's selling food items, even though it may be a competition to your business, if you enter into an agreement to prevent him from setting up shop near you, then that would be a void agreement. An agreement and restraint of legal proceedings, so where you try to prevent someone from approaching the court to resolve their grievances, or you try to influence a judge or witnesses and try to obstruct legal proceedings, would be void as per section 28. Uncertain agreements, where you are not able to define clearly the terms of the agreement. So if you say that I want to sell my car for 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, then the amount for which you want to sell your car is not certain. So uncertain agreements are declared to be void. That it could also be an agreement to do something which is uncertain, like an agreement to jump off a cliff and not break a single bone. This might not happen. Or jump from the 20th floor and not break a single bone. These kind of things are uncertain. Or an agreement to find a treasure. These kind of things are uncertain, and they are declared to be void. Then wagering agreements, where you bet on something, like paying, you say that I'll pay you so much if it rains today, and if it doesn't rain, then the opposite person has to give something. So wagering agreements of this sort are, you cannot enforce this. You can't say that, oh, my friend agreed to pay me so much if it would rain today, or if India won the match today. He didn't do it, so now I'm going to court and try to enforce this agreement. You cannot do it. An agreement to do impossible acts. This is like something like making a dead man alive or performing some magic. So these are examples of impossible acts. Those are declared to be void. Now let's just discuss a little bit in detail about agreements in restraint of trade. Now they are declared to be void, but there are certain exceptions to it. Sale of goodwill. This is an example of an exception to an agreement in restraint of trade. So a person who sells the goodwill of a business, he may agree with the person who's buying the goodwill to refrain from carrying on a similar business within a certain geographical area or local limits. Then there are certain exceptions under the Partnership Act, under the Indian Partnership Act 1932, where agreements in restraint of trade are valid. That is where there is an agreement between existing partners of a firm, saying that a partner will not carry on any business other than that of this firm, or any competing line of business. Then agreement with an outgoing partner, which may outline that he will not carry out a similar business within a certain period after exiting from this firm. Agreement between partners on dissolution of a firm, that all of them or some of them or one of them will not carry out a similar business within a specified period or within certain specified geographical limits. Then sale of a partnership firm's goodwill. So the person who sells the goodwill, that person may say that, okay, I will agree not to carry out a similar business or a competing business. So those are exceptions under the Partnership Act. Then agreements and restraint of trade are valid in case of trade combinations. That is, trade combinations are agreements, voluntary agreements, which members of a particular trade association come together, and they have they form that association to regulate the business, the terms, conditions, area of operation, prices of goods, all of these. So then these such agreements are not void, even though they restrict the rights of their members. Then a service agreement. Now by virtue of a service agreement, a full-time employee is not permitted to engage in any other employment, even part-time or adjunct basis or visiting basis somewhere, because he's already employed full-time by someone, and without seeking that person's permission, he cannot even engage in a part-time or short stint anywhere. Then an agreement of exclusive agency. Now in this type of an agreement, a principal may prevent an agent for acting on behalf of anyone else or in dealing with the goods in which respect he is dealing for him. So these are perfectly valid. They are exceptions to an agreement and restraint of trade. Already discussed in the previous slide, exceptions under the Partnership Act, where by virtue of that partnership agreement or partnership deed, an existing partner or an outgoing partner may be prevented from engaging in a similar business for a specified period, or for as long as he, if it's an existing partner, as long as he is a part of that firm. If he's an outgoing partner, for 2-3 years after he has left that firm. Then agreement upon dissolution, where all the partners are prevented from carrying out a similar business for a particular duration or in this particular area or location or within specified geographical limits. And sale of partnership firms goodwill. So these are the exceptions under the Partnership Act, which are perfectly valid. They will not be regarded as agreement in restraint of trade.